Jewell for, I would say, about the past 7 or 8 years. And as I was driving in today, I know I wanted to say something to honor her. And I just started to smile. And I'm smiling. Well, every time I think of Miss Jewell, I smile. It's just natural. You breathe in, you breathe out, you think of Miss Jewell, you smile. And the reason that is because every time I spoke with her, she was smiling. Every single time. I can't conjure up in my brain a vision of her not smiling. It's almost impossible. So I just wanted to come and say a few words to honor her. I was thinking of what to say, and what came to my mind was a saying that we all have heard. We've even said it, and it's true for some people. It's true for a very small amount of people in your life, and I'll say it in just a second. Some people may have said it to you. You may have said it to other people. I don't know if anyone said it about me. I've said it to a few people, but the saying is, to know her is to love her. Right. And I thought about that, and we always hear these cliche things, and it's like, okay, but that was so her. That was, to know her, if you knew her, you loved her. And that came to my mind. I know she loves to sing, and I've been in her brother and you all were talking about the trio. Sometimes I was a part of the trio, the quartet, when about 2 or 3 times when they were at the hospital, I was there, and I kind of joined in and then stepped back out. So I wanted to just honor her with just a chorus of a song. I won't sing the whole thing, I'll just sing the chorus, and most of you will probably know this. But I kind of changed it up to kind of fit her because she loved to sing. When I think of her now, I'm smiling because she knew where she was going. She loved the Lord, and so this is a celebration. And though we are sad, it's still a celebration, and every time I was in her presence, we had fellowship. So I'm just going to sing this, excuse the voice, but it's His Eyes on the Sparrow. So the chorus of His Eyes on the Sparrow. Don't you know that she sang because she was happy? Don't you know that she sang because she knows who rules? Oh, His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He's watching over Miss Jewell. Don't you know that she sang because she was happy? Don't you know that she sang because she knows who rules? His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches over Miss Jewell. Amen.
Thank you. I'm sure if we left the floor open, there are many other tributes that would be spoken, because all the things that have been said regarding Jewell, I say a hearty amen. Now, the Darby family and I go back, way, way back. I was just counting the years. It was almost 70 years ago. Oh, yeah, I'm old. That her brother, Carl, who just recently went to be with the Lord, and her brother, Milton, and I climbed the Blue Mountain Peak in Jamaica. And for those of you who know, it's an overnight trek. And I look back to that early connection, and I didn't meet Jewell. I was unfortunate not to have met her in Jamaica. I met her here. And Beverly and I and Jewell spent many times. She loved to play Scrabble, and that's a touch point with me. If you play Scrabble, you're in on my company right away. But besides that, all the things that have been said of her are so true. Her dear sister Norma in Jamaica, and Jewell was there visiting, I understand, at the time, when she had an accident. as a result of which she's not able to be here today, but she sent tribute by way of a video, which we will now watch.
When he cometh to make up his jewels, all the jewels, precious jewels, his loved and his own, like the stars of the morning, his bright crowns adorning. They shall shine in their beauty, bright gems for his crown. This is my tribute to my sister Jewell. Our parents, Ida Mae and Adolph Darby, had 5 sons before my mother gave birth to a girl named Sylvia. Sadly, this child died of pneumonia when she was 9 months old. When my mother had another daughter, she was overjoyed and named her Jewell. Everyone welcomed Jewell. Her brother used to sing the hymn, "When he cometh to make up his jewels," referring to their sister as precious Jewell, his loved and his own. Jewell was regarded as a precious jewel among her siblings at home and also in the community. I was born 2 years later after Jewell, and seeing my sister being treated as special and loved by all made me feel jealous. We used to fight a lot as children growing up, but as adolescents, the sibling rivalry subsided and we became friends. We would go shopping together to buy fabric to make dresses, influenced by her father's profession as a tailor. Sometimes, after we shopped on Saturday, we would sew all night to be able to wear something new to church on Sunday morning. Jewell had a lot of friends and would go out with them and visit relatives outside of Kingston, while I remained the bookworm at home. Jewell migrated to the United States, where she married David Arthur Cavallo, and they moved to England. Their 3 children, Grace, Jacqueline, and Richard, who was affectionately called Andy, were close in age to my children, Margaret and David. When Jewell's family returned to the United States to live in New York, there were more opportunities for our families to visit each other. While neither of us attended each other's first wedding, her second wedding to Carter Monroe and I attended, and she was the matron of honor at my second wedding to Maurice Cook, after my first husband, Cuthbert Gordon Rowe, had died. When Jewell retired, she moved to Ocala, Florida. I would continue to visit, so I know how devastated she was after her daughter Jackie died in 2010 while giving birth to her 3rd child, Christopher, leaving her first son, Michael, and daughter, Jordan. Maurice and I would spend half the year with Jewell after we were married in 2012, and half the year at home in Jamaica. Jewell loved the Lord and loved to sing solos as well as on choirs in church. She enjoyed participating in church activities, and particularly at Christmas time, she would go to all the different church programs and concerts. Last year, When my husband and I were in a car accident, Jewell came to Jamaica with my sister-in-law, Colleen. I had a broken neck, which is healing slowly but surely. Maurice had broken ribs and sternum, and Jewell and Colleen sang for us. And I know that Jewell is singing in her new home, where she is free from the illnesses that caused her death and her health to deteriorate. May her soul rest in peace and sing in peace. Jewell loved Maurice's singing, so Maurice and I will sing, "Great is Thy Faithfulness."
Great is Thy faithfulness, O God my Father. There is no shadow of turning with Thee. Thou changest not, Thy compassions they fail not. As Thou hast been, Thou forever wilt be. Great is Thy faithfulness, great is Thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, Thy hands have provided. Great is Thy faithfulness, great is Thy faithfulness, great is Thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me.
like to extend our thanks to Pastor Garner, who, because of uncontrollable circumstances, couldn't be here to officiate. But he wants the family and friends to know his heart is here with you. And I was delighted for the privilege to represent this wonderful family, and to thank God for the family and friends who are here. The people who come from near and far. I don't know who has made the longest journey here, but all those who came from outside of Ocala. Could you just raise your hands so others can see you? Wow. How about outside the state of Florida? Wow. Now, do I dare anybody outside the country of the United States? Oh, I see one here, yeah. Well, that's a meager expression of the kind of regard in which your mom was held, your wife was held, your mom was held, your aunt, all those who know and love Jewell, not just a family by blood or marriage, but this family. We love her, and we look forward to seeing her again. I got to know Jewell soon after we got here. My wife and I were going to Detroit, I think it was, and Jewell came with us, and of course, George and Marjorie live just across the border from Detroit, up in Windsor. I have to tell you the name of their hometown. It's a weird one, Tecumseh. But it's been, and of course the Darby family, and George and his wife have accommodated me in their home more than once. And of course, it seems like deja vu. I'm here remembering Colleen Howard's passing here in Ocala, and having a portion of the activity surrounding his farewell service. And inasmuch as we've read as many scriptures as we've had, and sermons, mini sermons we've had, I'm going to cut my 2 hours down to an hour and a half. Now, I'm sure Pastor Garner wouldn't like that. I'm sure you wouldn't like that. I believe we've been reminded that we occupy a space in time for a season. All of us, a year and 8 months ago, I looked into my dear wife Beverly's eyes for the last time. She went home. It wasn't the first time I looked into the face of a departed wife was 60 years ago, when my first wife died suddenly in childbirth. So I'm acquainted with the departures. We are here, and these bodies of ours are what I call temporary assignments. And at any time, it could be the last day. And I mentioned my first wife, Norma's homegoing, and her brother read this poem, and I read it at Howard's homegoing, and I felt I ought to share it with this congregation today. In the crimson of the morning, in the brightness of the noon, in the amber glow of the day's retreat, in the midnight robed in splendor or the gleaming of the moon, I listen for the coming of his feet. I have heard his weary footsteps on the sands of Galilee, on the temple's marble pavement, on the street worn with weight of sorrow, faltering up the slopes of Calvary. the sorrow of the coming of his feet. Down the minster aisles of splendor, from between the cherubim, through wandering throng with motion strong and fleet, sounds his victor tread approaching, music far and dim, the music of the coming of his feet. Sandaled not with sheen of silver, girdled not with woven gold, weighted not with shimmering gem and odor sweet, but white-winged and shod with glory in the tabor light of old. It's the glory of the coming of his feet. He's coming, O my spirit, with his everlasting peace, with his blessedness immortal and complete. He's coming, O my spirit, and his coming brings release. So I listen